Hi everyone, welcome back to Next Diecast. In today's video, I'll be building this 1/24th scale 2005 Corvette C6 made by Motormax. I found this model kit at a local flea market for only $5, which is an absolute steal, because these 1/24th scale model kits usually retail for between $20 and $25, which I think is a bit on the high side for, a 1/24th scale model, because pre-built versions of these models usually go for, under $20. So you'd think that for an unbuilt version like this one, you'd get it for maybe a little bit cheaper, maybe the same price, but that's not usually how it works. But this was made, I think, around like 2014 or 15, because they have a mentioning of the Pagani Huayra on the bottom here for these licensees, and that car came out in 2014 along with the model that Motormax made. And this is, I think, the current box style that Motormax uses for their models. You can't really find these Motormax model kits too easily compared to like Maisto model kits and whatnot. The Testers brand did sell some of their own model kits as like they were made by Motormax, the models, but they were sold under Testers. I have a 1/24th scale Ford Crown Victoria. That's one example of that. And I think they also did a Celine S7 and a Pagani Zonda. But this is sold by Motormax. It's a Motormax model kit. And I wasn't really able to find too much information besides that. But this looks like a pretty nice model kit. You have the pre-built, of course, metal body for the Corvette, and then you have the different wheels you can add on, dashboard, seats, engine, and whatnot. So we'll go ahead and unbox it and kind of see what kind of parts we have in here. So this is kind of a similar design that Maisto uses for their model kits, where you have kind of the car up on top and this kind of window that takes up most of the front half of the box. And then you have kind of all the parts on the underside or below the model in terms of what parts you're going to be using to build the car. And you have the two side flaps on here. This is skill level 2, apparently, where you use a screwdriver and glue but no paint. I'm not sure if Motormax and Maisto even sell models that are unpainted, so I'm not really sure why they even bother to put a skill level, but I guess that's okay. 1/24th scale. You have kind of all the specifications on the side here. And then just model kit diecast collection. Very, generic on the back there. If this were a Maisto model, you would have a photo of kind of all the different parts kind of laid out. But, okay, copyright 2016. So that's probably when this particular kit was made. I haven't seen any of these model kits in stores. I've seen the Testers model kits that are basically Motormax models, but I've never seen a Motormax branded box with a Motormax model inside of it as a model kit, if that makes any sense. But this is kind of a cool find, I think. But we'll go ahead and get this out of the box. Still has everything kind of all taped up and everything, which is nice to say. So we'll go ahead and get this open and see what kind of parts we have in here. All right, we got that tape undone, I guess. We'll go ahead and get this opened up from the side. I probably should have done it from this side so you see it from the front, but whatever. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, so here's the instructions and a few parts in this bag. Up here we have, the seats fell out. So we got the seats, engine, 4 wheels. They don't give you an extra set of wheels like the Maisto model kits do, unfortunately. But I would have probably gone with these, even if they did offer a second set, because the chrome really does look good, I think, on the C6s. So we'll go ahead and get the model off of this. Looks like it's kind of just tied down. And then get all these parts out of their bags and their packaging. All right, here's all of our parts all laid out. And then we have the instruction sheet here. It's pretty easy to do, it looks like. There's 9 steps in total. And for some reason, it looks like the first step was actually done already, where you put on the base and put in the first 2 screws. I didn't do that. I'm not really sure how that was done, because it still had its like shipping straps and everything attached. I mean, somebody very well could have taken it out and screwed this on and put it back inside, but that's interesting, I guess. First step's already done for me. But here's the rest of the parts here. You have a whole bag of screws, the seats, you got the wheels. This is like the trunk piece and stuff here, the shifter and all that. Then you have the engine piece and all these different wheel bearings. And then you have the dashboard too. So it looks like The second step and third step involve putting in the front two wheel bearings and then putting in the engine piece. Actually, upon closer inspection, it looks like they come pre-done already, and you're supposed to undo it, like unscrew the base. Looks like that's what they say here with these arrows, and then you put in the wheel bearings and the engine. So we'll go ahead and do that first. All right, so we got the engine piece in place, which was a huge challenge. I'll kind of explain that towards the end of the video. We have all these other parts back here. Those two pieces were actually pieces from the engine bay that broke off. I did get the seats in, and I did get in those two wheel bearings. So we'll go on to the next step. And this front screw was very hard to both unscrew and screw back in. So that was another challenge that I encountered with this project. But once it was out, it was pretty easy to finish the rest of the car. And then last but not least, we had the wheels to install. And then we were all set. All right, well, here is the finished product, the 2005 Corvette C6 by Motormax. This is kind of a struggle to build in some ways. I didn't really have that much content filmed of it because each step was kind of difficult to actually do. The engine piece, when I tried to push it in with the two tabs just bent, and I actually had to break off the two tabs. And I ended up just using plastic glue. I just kind of set the engine piece in place, and I just kind of trimmed it off with some plastic glue to keep it solid. And that took a while to dry. It kept, flopping around and stuff in there. So eventually I just put the glue on, closed the hood, and just let it sit overnight, and then it ended up working out fine. But that was a bit of a bother. The seats were difficult to push in place. They almost, I think, broke because they were just so hard to push in. The wheels were like kind of wobbly, and I think I ended up not pushing them in far enough, but then eventually I did push them in far enough, and yet they're still kind of wobbly. Won't be a big problem though, because this will probably just be sitting up on the shelf, but still a little bit annoying to see that. The overall quality of the model isn't the best, but that's kind of what you expect for these Motormax models. The chrome wheels do at least look pretty nice. Nice detailing on them. You do have steering. It's not very good steering though. And the headlights and everything I think look pretty decent for the price point and for a 1/24 scale model. The paint is pretty much flawless. That's probably the model's best characteristic. Dark red paint, very deep and rich. You would see this on the real Corvette C6. Badging is pretty well done, I guess, too. You have a license plate sticker back there. The door panels and the interior detailing are also, I would say, decently done. There isn't really any buttons painted on in the center stack or anything, but you do have some different textures going on. You have a kind of a nice texture on the seats, and then you have a leather pattern on the dashboard, and then you have kind of a glossy pattern for the steering wheel. I think that kind of imitates what the real C6 would actually have, but and the overall shape of the car, something's kind of off about it. I don't know if it's the shape of the headlights or like the hood, or like the hood incline or what, but yeah, I mean, for $5, this was still, I think, an absolute steal, but I probably wouldn't have paid much more than like $15 for it, seeing some of the defects that it has. And I'm sure, I don't know if it was just me having difficulty with, putting in certain pieces, but it was a pretty labor-intensive task compared to the Maisto kits I built in the past year, like that Viper and that Lamborghini Aventador Roadster. But I would say if you can find this kit for, a cheap price, because it is kind of hard to find, I would say get it. I mean, I wouldn't probably pay much more than like $15 for it, but if you can find it for a good deal, I think it's fairly fun to build. Just we had those couple of issues with snapping in certain parts, but once you get it together, it does look like a pretty cool model, and it would look good with other 1/24 scale Corvettes if you do collect those. So, hope this was kind of a helpful, look at the build process for this model and kind of a look at its overall quality. And feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on it. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.